I'd like to talk a little bit about the topic of empty nesting, empty nest. Some have even called it the empty nest syndrome, as though it is an illness, a disease, something that we've got to get medication for. Empty nest comes up quite a bit when I'm doing events for my book, Reinventing Rita. And here's why. Reinventing Rita is about a midlife woman. She's just turning 50, who has to face the fact that her college-age son is not coming back home to live with mommy after he graduates. She also realizes, with the help of some of her friends, that since her divorce, she's really been coasting through life. And it's way past the time when she needs to get in gear, decide what she wants to do for the rest of her life, because, hey, if you're only 50, you got a long time ahead of you. And that's what most people think about when we talk about empty nest. The last child leaves the home. Usually it affects women more than men because they're the ones who are, generally speaking, more involved with the kids. But anyways, the last child left the home, and even if the woman has a career outside of the home, it's like, oh my God, now what am I going to do? But there's other ways that you can experience empty nest syndrome, or the empty nest stage, which is what I prefer to call it. Empty nest stage can happen when the relationship you've been in for a long time, whether you were married, living together, whatever it is, when it ends. Maybe it ends from death. Maybe it ends through divorce. Whatever the cause, the other person is gone. And there you are. Oh my God, what am I going to do now? He's not there anymore. She's not there anymore. Half of my identity is gone. Empty nest stage can occur when you've been caregiving for somebody. And that's something I experienced. When my second child, my last child, left home, these many years ago, empty nest didn't hit me all that hard. Not that I didn't miss Joe, but mostly because I was working. I was struggling to make ends meet. Okay, so that was my whole focus. I was holding down a full-time job, trying to earn money on the side. Who had time to think about empty nesting? I was lucky if I could get everything done and get a couple hours sleep. Empty nest really hit me, the feeling of an empty nest, when my dad died. My mother had died 10 years earlier, and though it was devastating when I lost her, I still had my dad. Then about, 7 or 8 years after my mom passed, my dad developed cancer. He came back here to live with me. So there's the two of us in this house. And we always were close. We had a really wonderful relationship. And I felt very privileged to be able to take care of my dad. And then my dad died. And here I am in this house alone. Oh my God. Now what? Now when I go to the store, I don't have to automatically pick the foods with low sugar, low sodium, try to find something that I know my dad will like that won't mess with his health. Oh my God, now what am I going to do? I don't have the work in the morning, not work, but the responsibility in the morning of making sure that his meds were in order, his readings were in order. I don't have somebody to talk to during the day. He's gone. My dad was always very interested in what I was doing. Okay, so the point I'm trying to make is, empty nest can occur through a variety of life changes. Interestingly enough, I realized today that empty nest can also occur when you lose your job. Maybe you no longer are working because you retired. Maybe you're no longer working because, well, downsizing. Whatever the cause. Now your schedule's gone. Your responsibilities are gone. The identity that you had is gone. When people think about empty nest, even the word empty nest, empty, barren, nothing there. Okay, it's a really negative understanding of empty nest. The more I think about it, the more women I have spoken to, mostly women, although there are some men who go through the empty nest stage, it's the idea that yes, there's a space there that was occupied by someone else or something else in the case of a job. But having space isn't necessarily a bad thing. What it is the opportunity to fill it with something else, something more rewarding, something fulfilling, something that you had once thought about, but through a variety of other reasons, causes, responsibilities, you weren't able to pursue. But now because there's space in that nest, you can do it. So what I want you to think about is, first of all, think of the nest as you, your life, your future, what it is now, what it could be. Think of the space within that nest not as a big gaping hole where somebody isn't, but think of it as possibilities, as an expanse that is just waiting for you to fill with whatever, whomever you choose. Again, the possibilities. And it could be that your nest needs a little renovating. You know, the nest that you may have built years ago was suitable for the life you were living at that time, the stage you were at that time. Maybe it's time to think about renovating that nest. Maybe it needs to be bigger. Maybe it needs to be smaller. Maybe it needs to be a little more transportable so that it doesn't have to stay in that particular tree, but you can move it somewhere else, somewhere that's better suited for you. So if you are looking at a potential empty nest situation, if you are currently going through the empty nest stage, don't see it as a bad thing, as something that is to be dreaded, to be coped with, to be medicated around. Think of it as possibilities, opportunities, ways to explore what your identity can be when it's no longer the identity you once had. And be positive about it. I want you to look at empty nesting as nesting, renovating nesting, improving nesting, expanding nesting. That's what Rita had to do when she finally realized that she was in the empty nest stage and she couldn't change what was going on, the choices her son was making. And that's what all of us have to do, because life is a series of stages. An empty nest can lead to another kind of nest that is as fulfilling or potentially even more fulfilling than the nest we have been living in. That is my thought for you. And if you're struggling with it, that only means you need to find your inner moxie. Find your inner moxie, find your courage, find what will make you feel good about yourself. And then look for your friends. That was a big help to Rita in Reinventing Rita. She turned to her friends, and her friends were more than willing to give her advice, recommendations, the occasional kick in the butt to get her moving toward her new nest that she was creating. So find your inner moxie, pursue your dream, and see what is the nest you're going to build now. That's my thoughts on empty nest, and I hope it will help you if this is what you are looking at, dealing with, moving through. Thanks so much.